Raise your hand if your kindergarten music classes feel a little chaotic, particularly at the end of class. We've had all of this fun making music, playing games, playing instruments, being together with our friends, and now it's time to calm down and go out into the hall or meet our teacher to do whatever transition might be next. My absolute favorite way to close a kindergarten lesson is by singing a story. So today I'm going to share my 3 favorite books to end a kindergarten lesson. In a previous video, I shared some of the important things I focus on with kindergarten, particularly at the beginning of the year. I will go ahead and link that video in case you haven't checked it out. But one of the really important things that I mentioned is that we want to build some active listening skills with our students. This is a really important thing for our kindergartners to learn because there's so much time in our music room that it might be their turn to participate, but it might also be their turn to participate by listening. In this video, I'm going to share 3 of my favorite books and maybe a bonus with different levels of participation and active listening so you can help your students to build those skills. If you want to check out any of the books I mentioned today, you can check out the links down below. The first book I love is Hush, Little Polar Bear by Mack. Now, this is a beautifully illustrated book, and it is to the tune of Hush, Little Baby. So this is a fairly familiar tune for students. We're just sort of doing a piggyback song or a different verse along with it. So just to give you a little feel for this book, let me go ahead and sing the first couple of pages to you. Hush, little polar bear, sleep in the snow, and dream of the places where sleeping bears go. Sail the high seas on the back of a whale, land on a beach and then follow a trail. So as you can imagine, the polar bear has this wonderful adventure and we follow this tune to Hush Little Baby throughout. The book ends in a super fun way where the polar bear ends up with me sleeping in my bed. But the part that students always seem to love the most and notice in the illustrations is that the book on the bed is actually the front cover. A little Inception moment, if you will. So why do I love this book? This is one of those active listening books where I want students to just listen. If they hear me start to sing Hush, Little Polar Bear, there's a pretty good chance that they're going to start to sing along. So what might I do in that situation? Well, maybe I'll say, oh, does this sound like a song that you know? Okay, let's sing a little bit of Hush Little Baby together, and then you can listen when it's my turn to read the story. And then sing like a verse or 2 or whatever you're feeling that day or whatever you have time for that day, and then move on to the book. So I like it because it's familiar, but it's also a new twist on a familiar favorite. The next book that I absolutely love, the next song tale that I absolutely love is Over in the Meadow. This particular version has illustrations by Ezra Keats. I have another version by John Langstaff that I absolutely adore. I'll link both of them down below. But just in case you aren't familiar with this song, let me go ahead and sing the first verse for you. Over in the meadow, in the sand and the sun, lived an old mother turtle and her little turtle one. Dig, said the mother, I dig, said the one. So he dug all day in the sand and the sun. And of course, there's many variants to this particular song tale. Over in the meadow where the stream runs blue, lived an old mother fish and her little fishies too. Swim, said the mother, we swim, said the 2. So they swam and they leaped where the stream runs blue. So what's cool about this is we're going all the way up to number 10 in just the way that I motioned to you, little fishies too. So it's a rhyming book, but we also have practicing of that home note. So that's a next level of participation for my students as they feel comfortable, as well as the swim, said the mother, we swim, said the 2. That's something that usually I don't even have to motion to students to start singing. If they're really doing that active listening and hearing what the animals are doing and what number we're on, odds are they're going to go ahead and sing along with me. So what is this song tale good for? It's great for audiating that home note, that tonal center, and it's a great rhyming story, and it's an easy entry level of participation for students as they're engaged with your reading. The third book that I absolutely love for really all ages, but especially kindergarten, is The Old Black Fly. This is a book by Jim Aylesworth. The illustrations are by Stephen Gamble, and it's a really, really fun book, and it goes all the way through the alphabet. I first was introduced to this book during my Gordon Music Learning Elementary General Level 1 training. The tune is a jazzy take on In the Hall of the Mountain King, so if you wanted to pair that with a listening lesson later on, it's totally something you could do, but this also stands just really, really beautifully on its own, the story of this very mischievous black fly. Here's a taste. The old black fly's been buzzing around, buzzing around, buzzing around. The old black fly's been buzzing around, and he's had a very busy bad day. He ate on the crust of the apple pie, apple pie, apple pie. He bothered the baby and made her cry. I said, shoo fly, shoo fly, shoo. Can you sing that? Shoo fly, shoo fly, shoo. One more time. Shoo fly, shoo fly, shoo. Right. So, and then we go through the whole alphabet where he's doing all of these mischievous things, and every other letter, once we get to the end of this page set, we're going to sing shoo fly, shoo. What's fun about this, or sad, depending on how you feel about it, or feel about flies, is that the fly gets a big old swat at the end. Spoiler alert. And then the old black fly's done buzzing around, and he won't be bad no more. So this is a really fun book. It has a little bit of a different taste to it because it has a different tonality. Students can sing that shoo fly, shoo fly, shoo. Again, we're practicing that descending motive into the home notes or into the tonal center. This is a really fun one for all grades. The kids pick up on the alphabet pattern, and it's just a really fun book to end class with. The last bonus book I wanted to share with you is called 10 in the Sled. This is a really, really fun book by Kim Norman. The illustrations are by Liza Woodruff. And there are a couple other books. I think one is like She'll Be Coming Around the Mountain. I'll make sure I link them down below because these are very, very fun sort of piggyback type books that you can share with your classes. I love the original 10 in the Bed book with like the rotary dial that has like the little children are moving around and falling out of the bed as you read it. I'm going to be honest, my children have taken that somewhere and it probably no longer exists in my house. So today I'm going to be sharing this one. So if you're not familiar with 10 in the Bed, this is just a little bit of a different winter twist. On a sunlit night, 'neath a snowy moon, there was one on the sled, then two, but soon there were 10 in the sled, and the caribou said, slip over, slide over. So they all slid over, and seal spilled out, seal spilled out. There were 9 in the sled, and the caribou said, etc. So my level of participation for this particular song is to have students whisper back that alliteration phrase at the end, like seal spilled out. Right? So we're getting sort of a steady beat vibe as we go through this entire book. If we were doing the original 10 in the Bed, I'd have the students sing, roll over, roll over. And if we're in first grade, they would eventually learn, so, me, do, so, me, do. But we're talking specifically about kindergarten. So this is a really, really fun twist on a song that you've probably already done in your classroom, or maybe you will now. So here's a little bonus book for you to add to your collection. So those are a couple of my favorite books to use at the end of kindergarten. If you are looking at the clock and you have about 4 minutes left, it's a great time to have everyone walk to your spots in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And it's time to listen to the story. That way we're still ending music class very musically with some active listening, but with the energy level maybe a little bit lower than what it might have been earlier in our class. If you found this video helpful, make sure that you hit that like button and leave a comment down below to let me know what things you want to know more about when it comes to teaching kindergarten music.